Good morning. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. Welcome to the Rangers Roost. I'm the creator of Jump Rangers, and this is a weekly chat where we sit down and we talk about things that might be going on with Jump Rangers, things that go on with building a career in entertainment. I'm a working screenwriter. I'm a script doctor, and pretty prolific one at this point. I've actually, because I do so much ghostwriting, I've been paid for the overwhelming majority of the screenplays that I've written, which I think makes me a little bit irregular in the screenwriting community. And what else? Today, I think we're going to talk just a little bit about the need for allowing serendipity and grace, whatever that means to you, in building a career in entertainment. Because the truth is, every major success that I've had, and certainly every major lesson that I've learned, has been unplanned. And that's something I think that we overlook a lot in strategizing entertainment careers. A lot of people have when they go into the entertainment industry, I certainly did, have very fixed idea of what their career is going to look like, and especially in writing. We like to write things. We write our futures. We have a strategy, we have a plan, and the idea is that this is going to contribute to this, and this is going to contribute to this, and that's when I'm going to do my big science fiction trilogy. You know, and very frequently that's not what happens. Um, and just as frequently, people actually learn that there are better things to be doing in the first place than what they thought they were going to do. In a long, roundabout way, Jump Rangers turned out to be something that I did come into the industry to do. I first started off working in tabletop role playing games, and I started screenwriting because I was working in film finance and realized that the content that I was developing at the time could be something expansive and transmedia. And so I started, and people were asking me for the screen rights, and I said no, I'll write it myself, and that's how I learned how to write screenplays. And coming back to Jump Rangers has been a long journey that I didn't anticipate, because eventually, of course, I got away from gaming. I started putting all my focus into film specifically, and things came back around. But I'm dealing with another one of those bits of serendipity this week. I can't talk about it yet, um, but there's a chance I'm going to be working on a television show, which is very exciting. And television's another one of those things I said I wouldn't do. I didn't think I was cut out to be working in a writer's room, but I think that I could be useful. Um, and I think that there's people involved in this television production that know how useful I could be, so they're looking to make that happen. And the truth is, um, apart from believing in the production and knowing that it would be a good thing for everybody to have this story told and that it could have a very positive impact on the culture, I also think it's a huge opportunity for me to start making the kind of money that's going to make Jump Rangers a lot easier to make. So it moves my goals forward, and it's something I didn't foresee. When I first moved here, I didn't imagine I'd be working in film finance for 10 years, and I didn't particularly want to. Um, but putting in those years taught me not just how to make phone calls, although that's really important as it turns out, how to sell things. I learned a lot about salespersonship, but I also learned where the industry's blind spots are and what ideas this industry gets caught up in at the expense of other ideas, and where we've lost track of our show business fundamentals, and where we cling to them. I learned a lot about the ethics of Hollywood as they differ from the ethics of stage production. And I also learned how other people in the industry see those differences, and where they see the liabilities and where they see the advantages. And apart from giving me a better sense of who to do business with and not to do business with, it also taught me how to communicate to other people in the industry when I see a problem. If I see something that I know is going to adversely affect a show, those years give me a foundation for approaching the problem in a way that's going to get them to understand the risks involved. And all of this is independent of the fact that I understand how to talk about business in the first place, and that I understand how to talk about risk and reward, and that I understand how to equate film in those terms, and the fact that, you know, when people come to me and say, well, son, you got to understand film as a business, the fact that I can drill them into the ground with the knowledge that I have of film as a business, having been working in film finance for as long as I have, and having taken responsibility for the success of so many film projects, financially speaking, it becomes certainly a situation where, so far, nobody who said that to me hasn't been revealed to just be blithely dismissing an idea using vague. I haven't found someone who had a specific idea of what they meant by film as a business. Everyone who said that to me so far in my career, everybody has meant something very general and hasn't had a clear idea of where they were going with that argument, other than you're naive, which, as it turns out, I wasn't. Um, Having that power happen by accident is the point that I'm making. And part of making those, I'll put it to you this way, making those accidents accessible to ourselves is part of our job. It's part of our job to make sure that we are building a future for ourselves that's flexible enough to allow us to take advantage of opportunities and relationships as they grow in front of us in real time, instead of always having to gauge the value of a relationship based on what that relationship can offer our very static plan for the future. We need to be able to jump in, help people that we think deserve to be helped, and then see where that goes, and allow for the idea that these relationships can grow into um, work that we didn't expect to be doing and career paths that we didn't expect to choose, even in order to achieve our larger goals. You know, we have to be super flexible in the day to day plan for success. Ever since the writer's strike, of course, during the writer's strike, there wasn't a lot of script doctor work going on. A lot of the script doctor work that I do is for writers, not for producers, which is a side effect of the ways in which this industry has pushed the risk of film production away from the people who actually have the financial wherewithal to manage it. Our industry has gotten increasingly predatory in terms of making writers responsible for film development, because back in the 90s, for example, before the development of pre-sales, before the banks were really involved, before film became a loan instead of an investment, managers were responsible for the strength of scripts going onto the market. Film producers were responsible for the attachments and these things, and the money that goes into sort of putting these things together was borne by the companies that ran those people. Now, as banks start to get involved, banks are loan vehicles, they're not investment vehicles. Banks need to see that there's no risk inherent to the investment. So management companies and producers can afford to invest in film production less and less. They need a film to be ready to go when it comes to them now, which means everybody started looking to get away from, because the banks needed to see, oh, these people are dealing, these people are basically middlemen. They're not really taking any risk themselves. They're analyzing risk and they're choosing the right risks to invest in, but they're not creating risk. So it was left up more and more to the writers to create that risk, and the work of film development has become um, a writer's responsibility, because most managers and most production companies won't even look at a script unless there's an A-list attachment or something to substantiate the necessity of getting into that film production. It doesn't fit their risk profile anymore to really consider anything but that. So, and it wouldn't be beneficial to their relationship with the banks to do so, because the banks don't need to see them trying to make movies. The banks just need to see them processing money, basically, in order to maintain that level of trust that the banks have placed in these companies. So you see a lot more writers needing the kinds of services that producers used to need. And as a result, the people who do hire script doctors, the people who do, part of the reason why script services is such a big industry right now is that the people who are doing all the work of film development don't know what film development is or how to make work, and so they call in for a lot of help. And I think that's the bulk of where my work is coming from, which is, it's unfortunate. It's something I'd like to change about the industry. Um, it's an ethical problem for me, for sure, and it's something that I'm working on. And at the same time, it's a reality, and I'm grateful for the fact that um, I haven't been evicted yet. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm feeding myself and my wife, and that work became a lot more scarce, of course, over the strike, because writers weren't investing in their scripts because they figured, what's the point? Nobody can buy them, even if these writers weren't discovered yet. And after the strike, things would never really pick back up. They did to some degree, which is great, but um, rent got behind. Things were looking really scary for a little while there, and part of my job in that environment was to create as much serendipity as I could and create as many opportunities for myself as I could, and stay calm and stay the course and not panic. And that's what I've done. And now, on the eve of potentially getting this Netflix show, work is suddenly booming. And that's exciting. That's great. And I'm working with clients who can afford my services, which is extremely beneficial and for everybody involved, and certainly a relief. I'm working for clients who actually seem to be moving forward in their careers as well, which is very exciting, and who are genuinely investing. They're not just hoping that, paying for a script doctor is going to make their career happen. They are very serious about putting their projects together in a way that makes the most of their potential for success, and they're taking a lot of accountability for that process, which is kind of a best case scenario, because it means that, among other things, I'm not selling snake oil. I can actually help someone, which is fantastic. Huh. But the sort of gist of it is that I had no way of knowing during the strike or during the times that followed that I was going to get caught up on things like rent and bills right on the eve of taking on essentially a new career. I had no way of knowing that that's where things were going. And the fact that I stayed flexible in my mindset, and the fact that I put in the work to take care of everybody around me, to make sure that every client that came across my desk got the best possible help, the best possible service. The fact that I never got sloppy or let myself get fatigued to the point where I stopped taking care of the details of what was in front of me. The fact that I kept an open mind and allowed for a future that I didn't necessarily see coming, while at the same time doing everything in my power to build the future that I knew I wanted. And the fact that I didn't become attached to the details of how I got there, you know, at the expense of the opportunities that were coming up. That, I think, is a big part of the reason why things are working out right now. And I can't recommend highly enough the practice of keeping an open mind when it comes to allowing ourselves to take on responsibilities, take on work that we didn't necessarily anticipate or even hope for. Because when you get right down to it, this whole industry is about helping other people. And that's not just a question of helping other colleagues produce their shows. We need to be telling the stories that we want to tell exclusively for the sake of the audience. We need to make sure that we do what we do not for the sake of our own egos, but in order to make the culture stronger. And we need to support other people who are doing the same thing, even when they're doing it in a way that doesn't um, feed our interests to quite the same degree as maybe something of our own design would do. And I'm convinced more than ever that maintaining those kinds of ethics and maintaining that approach um, to sustainability and to the entertainment industry as a whole is, you know, is how we fail upwards. I guess that's it. I guess that's the talk for today. Um, and I find it fascinating that all of this is leading back around to Jump Rangers. You know, I was beginning to think in the throes of all this, um, this this dry spell that we've been having, that the answer was going to be working in the gaming industry. And I've been cultivating relationships to do precisely that. I've been in regular communication with people that I would love to work with, and they know this. I do not let them forget it. Um, and I think to some degree I've earned their respect, and that's exciting and encouraging for me. And of course, there are people I admire, or I wouldn't be doing it. And I've done everything I can to support their work. Um, but things may work out in a different way. Life may have a different direction for me to go in, and making myself available to that is is the is the essential ingredient in in building my unique contributions to the industry. So that's all I had to say, I guess. Thank you very much for watching. Um, later today at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to be playing the next installment of The Rookies, which is an ongoing adventure with um, Liz Ransdell and Buster the Destroyer, two people who, before this campaign, have never played Jump Rangers before. So it's been a process of learning. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope to see anybody who catches this there. There's all kinds of stuff happening this week. I'm going to be in Arizona at my parents-in-law, parents my family-in-law, my wife's parents' house, and I will be there uh, for a couple weeks. But we're bringing the computer. They say they have internet. Last Azula always lies, right? But that's the word. So we'll find out. I'm gonna bring my computer. Um, Very possibly I'll be able to stream Star Citizen and Ranger Stories on Thursday, and if everything goes well, we'll pick up metagame this week as well. So stay tuned. Don't be a stranger, Ranger.